What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Severance Season 2, the dystopian science fiction series on Apple TV+, of course, concluding its run. Severance at this point has established itself as the most successful, the biggest, the most watched show in the history of Apple TV+, surpassing Ted Lasso. And despite a budget that has infamously really ran over, especially in Season 2, the series is a big success. Apple's very happy with it and has renewed the series for Season 3. However, that begs the question was Severance Season 2 a step up or a step down from Season 1? Severance Season 2 is a clear and unimpeachable step down from Severance Season 1. While the show continues to have excellent craft across the board, production design, cinematography, acting up and down the ensemble, what the show continues to struggle with, and I think is actually getting worse with, is the effectiveness of its actual storytelling. Severance Season 2 was so frustrating, so unsatisfying, and so incredibly obtuse. And at this point, I'm so uninterested in what's happening with Severance because this show has no stakes at all. Reintegration doesn't matter. Annie Irving, we're going to see him again. Anything you see in this show can be undone. And when there's no effective payoff as you progress through a mystery box show and they just have to keep it going because the show is not going to end yet, you run out of rope. Episode 4, Episode 7, great episodes of TV, but the overall storytelling, the overall arc, if you can call it that, is just a big miss for me. So let's get into all that because, I know the show has a lot of fans, but I was just so out on the show by the conclusion of Season 2. And I'll keep watching it because I think it's possible that Season 3 could be really great. But I think Season 2, they really got over their skis. They really bit off more than they can chew. They, whatever you want to call it. Again, the craft is great. I also really want to shout out the locations. I think the Bell Labs Holmdel complex in New Jersey, which is the location, the stand-in for the Lumen offices, really iconic, location on TV, especially the last few years. It's become a tourist attraction already. Love that. A lot of other filming was done in New York's Hudson Valley, where I'm from, which is pretty cool. They even go all the way up to Newfoundland for the Cobell-centric episode 8. So they do a great job. I think episode 4, when they're out in the woods on the retreat or whatever it was called, again, really astounding, visually. I think for me, I'm just like I'm so struggling. I'm so lost with like what this show wants me to care about because it presents mystery and intrigue and sci-fi, and it doesn't give you anything in terms of resolution. It just presents all these questions and open-ended things and expects you to go with them, right? And I don't need everything explained to me. I don't need my hand held. I just need you to have a plan about what you're trying to communicate. And I just don't think it does nearly enough work to make you care about the plot points that do happen by the end of the finale. And on top of that, I think there's just a bunch of gaps at this point, right? Like, has anything been explained about Gemma's character? How was she kidnapped? Like, how any of that happened? No. Do we even really understand what Cold Harbor was supposed to be about? Multiple innies? Okay, like why do we care about that? Like, they didn't do that work either. Obviously, like kind of like smaller things, like what's up with the goats? Why is Mrs. Wong a kid employee? Things like that are not explained. Frankly, I think one of the most glaring plot holes of all is why does everything that happened in the finale happen the way it does? Why does Lumen have like no security after the attempted revolt that happened in the season 1 finale, right? Which was a great cliffhanger. I think a really effective episode of the show. They treat all these people exactly the same since then. Why? Why is that happening? Why is it seemingly just Milchuk and the one security guy who have the ability to do anything? It's just unbelievable, given like how powerful and evil mastermindy Lumen is in all other respects. They just let the Severed Floor folks do whatever the hell they want. Apparently, like it's just kind of hard to believe at this point. In episode 4, I think the Irving, sussing out, is it Helly, or Helena, is it Heliar? I think all that was really great. And then Milchuk, kind of snapping Irving away, right? Like, I think that was all really cool. After that, though, like the Helena stuff completely falls away until the very end again. And, I think like the whole, the very end, right? Where it's like, does Mark leave with Gemma? Does he go back with Heliar? And obviously he was going back with Heliar because they need this show to keep going. Like it was like the most like the plot requires you to decide one way. There was no actual choice there. And yeah, like I feel nothing about the result of Gemma being saved because I don't think they've done like enough work with this still. The episode 7, the flashback episode, probably the best episode of the show, where we learn a lot more about Gemma and Mark's previous relationship, pre-Severance. Really good episode. Some of the best filmmaking you will see on TV in terms of the pans and the swipes and like kind of all the camera work in that episode, as well as I think the effectiveness of its storytelling. Like that was all really good, but like to me, it feels separate from the modern day current plot line. And I just don't feel a lot of satisfaction about what's happened there. Did I enjoy watching Gwendoline Christie return and fuck up the security dude with Mark? She's being strapped with her what do you call it? The No Country for Old Men. Point him with the head, not gun. That was great. And then Mark, flipping over when he takes the elevator down and then accidentally pulling the trigger and killing the guy. Uh, that was cool. And not that I need the show to be like overtly violent, but like that was actually like kind of like a cool surprise, just because it's like actually like a piece of plot happening in the moment. You don't really get that on this show. But yeah, I think at this point it's just like I just don't have like any like feeling of stakes, any feeling of progression, because it's like reintegration is both so vague and nebulous, but also can be anything for the sake of this show. Like again, like I know any Irving from John Turturro will return on this show, despite the small amount of stuff we get from Irving outside with Bert, Christopher Walken. I think the last scene they share together is some of the best acting on the whole show, because obviously those guys are two legends. But like, we'll see Irving again, and it's like Dylan having the offer from his Audi, he can resign if he wants, but it's up to him. Well, obviously he's gonna stay because it's Severance. Like, what else are they gonna do on this show? You know? And I think the Dylan character, I like the performance. I love the scene where he actually, on the outside, goes to the door factory. I think that was a really cool piece of like legitimate world building and learning just a little bit about how the rest of the world of Severin thinks about Lumen and everything. Like I like that. But the stuff with Merritt Weaver, I think it's fine. Merritt Weaver, again, great actress, but like I just kind of struggled with like that character having actually that much of an arc at the end of the day. Just didn't really feel like it was that substantial. A lot of times the Dylan character is positioned in every scene to be like, what the fuck, when something happens, and like that's kind of it. I think at the beginning of the finale too, when you have Innie and Audi Mark having a conversation, with reintegration not finished, of course. And that's a scene where it's like, how do you feel about it, right? Because it's like, who are you actually rooting for? And I think whether you care about the innies as separate characters and separate souls, however you want to say it, versus the outies, is probably how you're going to feel about the progression of the story. And because I was just not having the best time watching this show, that was a conversation that started to just annoy me by the end. But it was kind of cool to see Innie Mark call Audi Mark out on his bullshit, which of course helps explain why Innie Mark does not leave at the end. Kind of obvious. And again, like in any Audi back and forth, there's a lot of elevator riding. I just really struggle with this show basically telling you nothing over the course of a whole season, progressing some plot, not really that much, and expecting you to be like excited to continue on the ride. I think there's characters like Mark's sister Devin, and what's Devin's husband name, Rickon. I think Devin and Rickon are so out of place at this point on the series; they don't make any sense anymore. Of course, Cobell, completely aimless for the entirety of the season, but still on the show because Patricia Arquette. Like, I don't know. Like, I need to see a stark change in season 3, because if it's more of the same, I just don't see how this is going to end well. To be honest, I like the Milchuk performance. I actually think the character is pretty fun, with the kind of nebulous loyalties of the guy and whatnot. But like again, him getting just played by the rest of the severed floor people because there's nothing, no, he has no backup at fucking Lumen. It's just so stupid, honestly. So yeah, I'm probably sounding like a hater on Severance, and maybe I am, but I would say watch Mr. Robot instead. Watch something that's actually cool and compelling and interesting, and yeah, we can get this kind of craft elsewhere. We don't need this craft on TV. There's a thing called movies that does a better job at all this stuff anyway. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. Let me know though if you disagree with me about Severance 2, and I'm sure there's a ton of people that do. Please let me know why. Let me know what you found satisfying. What was your payoff over the course of season 2? What are you looking forward to seeing in season 3? Let me know anything about season 2 that you liked. I always love to talk about it because I really struggle with this show. But I'll keep watching it because it is well made, of course. Never said it wasn't. And it's very popular. And it's curious at the very minimum. So let me know. What'd you think? And for more TV reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.